Hey friends, I'm Stephanie with Festive Creations by Stephanie. Have you ever wondered how to make one of those bows to add to your wreaths? Or maybe you're adding it to your mailbox, a lantern, a lamp post. One of the biggest problems or pain points that my customers have is trying to figure out how to make a bow. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So how many of you have tried to make a bow and feel like it wasn't what you were looking for? So what I did is I brought out some ribbon and we're going to make a little farmhouse inspired bow. I've got chicken wire, I've got some plaid, some great farmhouse plaid. All of these things make a beautiful bow. And of course, all of this product is available on my website at festivecreationsbystephanie.com. But let's get busy. So before we get started making the bow, there's 3 different methods that you can use to secure your bow or pull it all together when you're done. Number 1 is using a pipe cleaner. It is my least favorite because the pipe cleaner is kind of limited on how long you're going to have your stems or your tails. So I prefer to use what's called a floral wire. So this floral wire, mine comes in a little paddle that looks like this. It is a 22 gauge. So that's important. The 22 gauge is how thick it is. And I usually cut a piece about 20 to 24 inches long to add to my bows. You can also use zip ties. I do use a zip tie very frequently, but I also use it in conjunction with a floral wire, and I'm going to explain all of that in just a moment. I'm going to start out with this 2.5 inch ribbon. We have several 2.5 inch ribbons that we're going to use to make this bow with. And I actually feel like we're going to do these colors right here. So the red and silver chicken wire, we've got some gray, we've got some black, we've got some fun stuff going on. So let's start with the 2.5. I'm going to be using my Easy Bow Maker, and it truly does make things a little bit easier. And I'm going to add what's called a tail. So I'm going to measure out about 15 inches of ribbon. Set those off to the side so you guys can see me. And as I go down into the spindle on my Easy Bow Maker, I'm giving it a twist so that my pretty ribbon is on facing up. And now I have the ugly ribbon facing here, but I'm going to make a little loop over here. So on the Easy Bow Maker are some markings. So this is a 6-inch mark. I'm going to bring it out to the 6-inch mark. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Bring out my loop on the 6-inch mark. And as I'm pushing my ribbon down in there, we're going to give it a little twist. So there is no right or wrong way to choose how many loops your bow has. But this one's going to have 2 loops of the rooster black and white chicken wire on one side, on each side. And then I'm going to bring this down to make a tail. So we have 2 tails. That's the beginning of our bow. That's the base of our bow. So it has 2 loops, 2 tails. So far, so good. All right, let's add a little color though. We're going to bring that 2.5 inch red with the silver chicken wire in here, and we're going to add some color to this. So when we bring in that red, look how that just pops next to our rooster ribbon. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give it a little bit of tail. We're going to give it a little bit of loop. Oh, except I got a little over carried away when I lift that up. But this time we're not going to go out to the 6-inch mark. We're going to go out to about the 5.5 inch mark. So I just kind of bring it in a little bit shorter than the loop before. And this one, I'm only going to put 1 loop on each side. So we've got 1 loop, 1 loop. I'm going to measure this down. So again, if you're just hopping on, how many times have you wanted to make a bow to add, to make something pretty, right? One of the most common things, the questions I get at Festive Creations by Stephanie is how to make a bow. I don't make a bow. I can't make a bow. Believe me, you can make a bow. Try it, try it, try it, especially with the Easy Bow Maker, which are also available on my website as well at festivecreationsbystephanie.com. Here's our 3rd color. Our 3rd ribbon, again, going to make about a 15-inch tail. give it a little twist as I go down in between the spindles on this, and I'm going to go in a little bit shorter than the one before. See how they're layering? This is the longest, this one's a little shorter, this one's even shorter yet. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So now, and I'm going to bring this down to have yet another tail. Ta-da! By the way, my bows, once they're made, will be listed on my shop for sale. Just go to myfestivedoor.com to see any of my finished products. And then, of course, if you want ribbon, you can go to festivecreationsbystephanie.com to look at all the ribbon styles. I love this. This reminds me of definitely a farmhouse motif, and we're going to add some of that right on top of our other ribbon. So this will be our fourth and final one. And again, I'm going to give it a twist as I go down in between the pegs, make our tail long. And once again, I'm going to do a loop on each side, a little bit shorter than the one before, but this one's going to have a third loop. So in the center, I'm going to make, I can't get really close, about a 1-inch loop as I go down into the center. And my tail is going to be on the same side of these dowel rods because of that extra loop. So what that extra loop will do is help hide our zip tie or pipe cleaner or whatever once we take it off there, and it gives it a little flair. All right, so if you like to use a pipe cleaner, just keep in mind that you are limited on how much tail or how much extra you'll have to attach it to whatever. If you're going to attach it to your mailbox or a lantern or a lamppost. I like to use a zip tie, especially if I feel like I'm not going to be able to get that ribbon tight, because we're going to be tugging on this bow and my hands aren't super strong. So a zip tie gives me a real tight grip on my ribbon. So I'm just going to go down underneath my bow with the zip tie, and I'm going to bring that up and in between my ribbon where we have that those dowel rods, and start my zip tie. Started by adding that zip tie in there, and I'm not going to pull it completely tight yet. I'm going to bring my bow off of there, but before I completely tighten down this zip tie, I'm going to add that piece of floral wire underneath there. So this way, I now have a piece of strong wire that I can use to attach it to my mailbox, my lamppost, my wreath, or a lantern, or wherever it is I want to attach it. And depending on where you want to put your bows, maybe, you know, it might be on a shepherd's hook or at a graveside, wherever you plan on using your bow, just to remember that to allow enough wire that you can wrap it around whatever you're going to attach it to. All right, so now I'm going to tighten down that zip tie, squeeze it a little bit tighter, as tight as I can now, and we have our bow. So let's cut off that extra zip tie. I'm just going to use a pair of side cutters, wire cutters, and of course, making a bow, having a good pair of scissors that no one else uses, right? It's my fabric scissors. No one else is allowed to touch my scissors. They're for fabric, my ribbon only. So now we're just going to kind of fluff that out, bring those tails all down, facing downward, and we now have our little farmhouse bow that we can simply just attach to whatever we want to attach it to. And because this is made with wired ribbon, it will last for a long time. So I actually put a bow out at our local firehouse on Memorial Day or before Memorial Day, and that bow will hang there and stay in shape the entire summer long through windstorms, through rain, etc. So if you start out with good quality ribbon, like you can get at festivecreationsbystephanie.com, you can also count on that holding up to weather elements. and it's a lot of fun to work with. So, hey guys, any questions? Because we got a bow to list on myfestivedoor.com. If you want to see about getting your own bow already made, go to myfestivedoor.com. Or if you want to see about getting your ribbon to make your own bow, go to festivecreationsbystephanie.com. Hey guys, have a great rest of Tuesday.